Good day and welcome to DIR Let's Talk Sense. I'm your host, Beaumont, Todd, the Training and Communications Manager right here at the Department of Inland Revenue. Let me welcome you to another wonderful episode where we're going to be talking about different tax matters and breaking down the amendments, the bills, the laws, and all of the rules to make it as easy as possible for you, our customers, and our clients to be compliant and successful in this 2026. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking to Dr. Tiffany Newman from Physical Planning, who's going to talk to us a little bit about physical planning, where they fall in the equation, and how we work together and partner to make sure that you have the information that you need for your business to get started. Dr. Tiffany, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, we know we have a long-standing relationship with physical planning when it comes to business licenses and persons in business. So can you just tell us a little bit about and provide us a brief history of the Department of Physical Planning?
Okay, it's a pleasure to do that.
Okay.
Believe it or not, the Department of Physical Planning history predates independence of 1973 of the country.
Awesome.
It does. And so we have a rich history. But we can go back as far as 1961 when we had the actual Town Planning Act that was implemented in order to assist with development control, land use development, and urban planning for the country. Historically, the department was managed under the Town Planning Act of 1961, along with the Private Roads and Subdivision Act, and also various building codes under the direction of the Ministry of Works. Now, physical planning presently operates under the Ministry of Works and Family Island Affairs. The Ministry of Works had several names prior throughout the years. One of them would be the Ministry of Public Works, another would be the Ministry of Works and Urban Development, and we also had the Ministry of Works and Transport, but we're rooted in the Ministry of Works.
Okay.
Mhm.
At this point in time, what are, you would say, the general rule and responsibilities of the Department of Physical Planning?
Okay, so generally, let's look at it like this. Anything which you want to use a piece of property for or a building, you have to have the approval of the Department of Physical Planning Town Planning Committee.
Okay.
That's where we come in terms of business license, land use.
Okay.
Anything which you need to use your building for or a piece of property for, it must be sanctioned by the Town Planning Committee.
That includes vacant land as well.
That includes vacant land, existing buildings. Even if you're in a building, you
Mhm.
move out, someone else wants to move in, different use, you would need the sanction of the Town Planning Committee.
That's interesting. So, at this present time, what laws or policies govern the department's work? Because I know a lot of persons sometimes don't even know
Yep.
what laws or bills.
Yeah. So the Department of Physical Planning is a little tiny little place with a few persons, but it's such a powerful department.
Mhm.
So the present law in which we are guided would be the Planning and Subdivision Act, and in that it will literally state that in order for you to use your land or your property for any particular use, you must have the sanction of the Town Planning Committee. If you do not do that, you'll be in violation, and you can actually be cited, fined, and go to court.
Wow. And it's so interesting you say that because there are a number of calls I get from persons always asking about persons who are operating businesses outside of having a business license and stuff. So in that instance, would they then report to physical planning about the building being used, or would they report to us, Department of Inland Revenue?
And you see, this is where relationship comes into play
Uh,
because sometimes persons may be in breach of several laws.
yes.
And the interagency task force or team and working together and collaborating is very important. Let's say they're using a building without a business license. Well, definitely we know that's Department of Inland Revenue.
Yes.
They're using it without the sanction of the Town Planning Committee. They didn't get consent to do what it is that they're doing. They're also in violation of the Town Planning Committee. Let's say they may have built the building without a valid building permit. That's gonna be the Ministry of Works. And so with 3 agencies working hand in hand, we can get the job done.
Sounds excellent. So when we add it all up, how does planning, zoning, and approvals work together?
Okay, so what I like about the Planning and Subdivision Act 2010, there's a clause in there that gives the client an opportunity to have a pre-consultation meeting free of charge.
Okay.
Which means if you're a business owner and you want to establish a business, you
Mhm.
can simply walk right on into the Department of Physical Planning. I'm a business owner. I want to sell cakes and pastries. I live Shrimp Road, Avocado Gardens. Can you kindly give me some advice on how I should pursue getting a land use approval to get a business license to have this business in operation.
I didn't even know that that was available to persons.
Yes, it's called the plan. It's called the pre-consultation process, and it's actually in the act.
Okay.
And so you come in, you sit down with an officer. We love sitting down and talking to clients in advance. It's just unfortunate persons do come in on the tail end when they go and set up shop. They've already paid their rent. They've already purchased the building. They already have the equipment on the dock, and they just need their business license. And
And they
physical
haven't done
planning
the
is on the whole up.
wow.
Never seen that one time, and it's sad. We're all Bahamians, but that's why our town planning committee is there as well. They're like the heart of physical planning. So even though we're technical officers, we write technical papers, we do the research based on zoning, setbacks, parking, all of the other things you can think about. We still have to submit a technical report to the town planning committee.
Okay.
In some instances, let's say you do something you're not supposed to do, the committee will have a conversation with you. What's going on? We hear you out. If it's something that can work out, we can do that. But if it's something that can't,
Do they need an appointment before they come in?
no, for the town planning committee, you need to be invited. So
Okay.
if it's something where you're coming in just to have a conversation, you can speak, you can walk right in the doors and speak with any technical officer.
Okay, so I know that you said that it's free that persons can walk in, but are there any fees or any charges for any of the services, whether it's from town planning or physical planning, that persons may not be aware
In most cases,
of?
no. It's free of charge. Walking in, having a conversation is free. Going online to the inland portal, which I must say this, that's amazing. Persons can apply. You can apply. If you wake up at 12:01 a.m. in the morning and you have an idea, Inland Revenue has made it possible that you can apply to physical planning through the portal for your business. So that's just amazing. I have to give it.
And
I
I
have
know
to
this
give it
is
up to
true
you.
because I've done it. I am guilty of this.
I'm telling you, 3 o'clock in the morning. So when we go to work on Monday, 9 to 5,
Old stock
Monday,
emails.
you what you see all of the applications and the ideas are so unique. But so through in most instances, persons that apply that way, or they have an existing space that was set up previously and they're just moving in.
Mhm.
In most cases, that's free of
Okay.
charge. But let's say you're a business owner and you want to build a hotel or resort or a commercial plaza. You don't just go and build it. You come in through the what we call the site plan application process. And based on the complexity of that application, you may need to pay a fee in that instance.
That brings up a interesting question also, because we know what's happening in both Nassau and the Family Islands. A lot of persons are now building Airbnbs.
Mm.
So in those instances, well, I'll ask the question in a twofold part. For persons who already have a home, but they're looking to possibly use a part of their home for Airbnb, do they still need to come back to physical planning for that?
Definitely, they would need to do that
Okay.
because if they're using a part of it, let's say we have something called zoning. You're responsible for zoning. Let's say you live in an area that's zoned single family. That means one family is allowed to live on that property at a given time.
Okay.
You want to go ahead and split it up, or you want to go ahead and add where you're having a second kitchen, second entrance, et cetera, you're going to have to apply for something we call rezoning
Okay.
because no longer would that property be used for one family. You're going to have a property that's going to be used for one family and perhaps a business or two families. So you need to come to the department before you do that for a meeting, and we would advise you to request rezoning. And that's free of charge as well.
Okay. But in the instance I'm looking to build completely, I still have to come to physical planning if I'm looking to do an Airbnb, if even if I'm starting from vacant land.
Very good.
And we have to put this out there because we know a lot of businesses, well, I wouldn't even say business, persons are basically doing Airbnbs and Bs. And
Mhm,
a part of what we're doing is trying to get persons to be compliant by registering their Airbnbs and Bs
mhm,
so that they can get their business license. But they also have the ability to come into physical planning
mhm.
and get the advice they need even before they build the buildings that they need.
That's correct. That's correct. Now, in the case where it's existing, based on our interagency collaboration with tourism, Prime Minister's office, and all the other stakeholders, the department has, along with inland revenue, we have what we call a property management business that can be done by home base. So let's say you have a home, you don't want to have any loud parties or anything like that because a lot of these things go against the covenants. So if it's a situation where it would not be a client breaking the covenants by allowing a family to come and rent or persons to come and rent the entire home, we would ask you to actually apply for what we call a property management business.
Okay.
And with that property management, that will allow you the opportunity to collect your rent, set up your accounts, et cetera, et cetera. Absolutely, positively, unmistakably, no changes are allowed to that house whatsoever. You're not allowed to make any changes. You're not allowed to have outside parties. Whatever the covenant states, it must be abided by.
Now, my question, and you gave me another interesting question, and I'm going to make sure we don't run over time before we take our break. With that, because I know for some property management businesses, you have to have a commercial space. Does that also apply to the one you mentioned, or that can be done from a residential or from a home?
The property management that I discussed just now, that can be done from a residential or home by the home-based license.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if it's something where you're going to make changes and you want physically things to be done to the premises, more than one, if it's a house, you would definitely not be allowed to do that by a home base. You're going to have to come in to apply through what we call the PSA, preliminary supportive application process. And it would go to the town planning committee. The committee would make a decision. If no, no. If yes, you would get a rezoning letter.
Okay, so I have one more question, and then we'll head to our break.
Mhm.
So, and this is back on the property management, because I know a lot of persons
Yes.
are actually getting into this business as well. So, with the property management, are you then able to not manage yours, but manage other person's property and have that set as a residential instead of a commercial business?
Yes, you are allowed to list.
Okay.
Still no changes to any of the properties you're listing.
Okay.
It's similar to real estate sales and rental, where you have a real estate license. As a realtor, you're allowed to list.
Okay.
Okay, so management as a property manager,
Mhm.
you're allowed to list properties that are going to be for rent.
That's interesting.
Okay?
That's interesting. We're going to take our first break right here on DIR. Let's talk sense. And when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Tiffany Newman from Physical Planning. We'll be right back. If you own or operate a business that involves liquor, you need to register. This means liquor stores, bars, restaurants, hotels, nightclubs, membership clubs, and even theaters. It's really any business that sells, exposes, or offers liquor for sale. Registration is only $100 for wholesale or retail liquor stores and $50 for restaurants, bars, and all others. If you own multiple locations, each one must have its own certificate. I know you're wondering, when should I register? Well, for existing businesses, you should register now, and applications are due by December 31st of every year. For new businesses, you must apply at least 90 days before your intended start date. Please note that in order to renew or apply for a business license, you must have a current liquor certificate of registration. Now to apply, go to the DIR website under the Business License tab, select Liquor Registration, sign up, and complete the application form. Once approved, you will receive an email with your new liquor registration certificate. Remember, your certificate must be displayed clearly in your business. For more information on the new liquor registration, email liquorregistration@bahamas.gov.bs or visit our website at inlandrevenue.finance.gov.bs. And welcome back to DIR Let's Talk Sense. I'm your host, Beaumont, Todd, the Trinity Communications Manager at the Department of Inland Revenue. So today we're talking with Dr. Tiffany Newman from Physical Planning about the collaboration between the Department of Inland Revenue and Physical Planning. Now, just as a reminder for persons, Renewal period has been already completed for business licenses, so we are encouraging persons to ensure that you have your 2026 business license where it can be seen. If you're still in the process, we understand, but make sure as soon as you get your licenses, it's displayed where it can be seen. For those persons that are registered for VAT, you are required by law, let me say it again, you're required by law to make sure that your VAT certificate is displayed where persons can also see it as well. If they come into your store and it's not displayed, one, you may see one of our lovely compliance officers give you a visit, and persons do not have to pay VAT if your certificate is not displayed. So please keep that in mind as well. Now, right before we went to the break, Dr. Newman, we're talking about the partnership and the collaboration between the different agencies. So,
Mhm.
how does physical planning, I would ask, collaborate with other agencies in the approval process?
Okay, that's a very good question. A lot of persons don't know much about us, but we play a role in just about every agency in terms of the building environment is concerned. The first one we look at would be the building control section of the Ministry of Works. We collaborate with them in terms of, is this building a building that has approval to be there? Does this have a valid building permit? You see, with the building permit process, once you apply to the Ministry of Works for the building permit, the permit is sent to physical planning.
Okay.
Physical planning looks at it. It goes to our town planning committee or one of our inspectors or our superintendent. They would review the file. Once it's done, if it is approved by the committee, approval is sent out, the building permit is sent back. The person gets the final building permit. Once that building permit process is done, we kind of almost sure that the building, if it's built, it was built in accordance with the approved plan. So when we come on site, we simply look for parking, setback, building height, a few other things. But if it seems as if that building does not look right for some weird reason, if our setbacks are not correct based on what we approved previously, we forward that matter to the building control section of the Ministry of Works. We would not grant planning approval because that would mean that that building was built outside of the parameters of which the committee of with what the committee had actually approved.
Approved, yeah.
We work with the Royal Bahamas Police Force, the business license unit. I want to say hello to Brown, Superintendent Brown. He's doing an amazing job down there.
Awesome.
But we work in collaboration with them as well in terms of some things that they may see that we need to take a closer look at. They will alert us, or some things we may see that they would need to take a closer look at. We will alert them. We work with, believe it or not, the preschool council. I am actually the department's representative on the council.
Interesting.
Preschool council is doing a wonderful job in caring for preschool and nursery throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and ensuring that the curriculum, the building, everything about it, the teachers, everything is done. I'm talking about top notch. I think the preschool consults work with the schools in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is second to none in the Caribbean, if I'm not mistaken. We also work with, in terms of agencies, we work with NACOP. We calculate the amount of students that are allowed in certain buildings. We have square foot requirements, ensuring that parking, drop off, pickup is available. There's a lot we do in just about a little of every agency. And I wouldn't go into inland revenue because everybody's aware. Inland revenue, you guys are our riders. And again, like I was saying earlier, I really want to, you have to give credit where credit is due. We Our application process for home-based and commercial, you would need to come into the office and fill out a form. Then you come back to check back later, has the letter been prepared as yet? Has to be signed off, et cetera, et cetera. Prior to COVID, we were working with Inland Revenue with this online portal. When COVID hit, all offices closed, all buildings closed. But can I say that the Department of Physical Planning was still able to process applications because of that portal? And so we want to say thank you for that. But from COVID, post COVID, after COVID, we never went back to paper.
Yeah.
And so we were paperless based on that. And so we want to say thank you to Inland Revenue, who has also been there. I'm talking about, I have to say hello to Dexter Fernanda. I have to say hello, Mr. Todd, yourself, Mr. Williams, and everybody else who's been there. Because if we have questions or concerns, pick up the phone and literally your agents are one call away. Also, all the agents down there, they're amazing, and working together hand in hand has tourism. Can't forget tourism. We work hand in hand with tourism as well in terms of land use, property. Miss Farrington from the Beaches and Park Authority. Listen, I can go on, and I don't want to get in any problems. So if I didn't call your name, it was not because I didn't mean to. It's because of time. But working hand in hand with the agencies, with the other government agencies, it has helped us to be able to present to the public one government. And that is what we're looking forward to continuing to do with the Department of Inland Revenue.
I just want to say, I didn't pay you to say that. I'm just throwing that out there.
He didn't.
Okay.
I didn't even know I was going to say it.
So, what does physical planning mean for business owners in practical terms?
Okay. Um, what does it mean for business owners in practical terms? I know you would normally hear, oh, if you don't have approval from town planning, ain't nothing happening, ain't nothing happening. But it's not that. Physical planning by law, it is the mandate that physical planning is responsible for land use and property development, urban planning, and the setup of the community. That is the responsibility of the Department of Physical Planning. We have trained planners that went to school. We have a director. Hey, Jehan Wallace, our first female acting director. But we have Mr. Charles Donald, who just retired, amazing guy. Michael Major. We had amazing directors. Bruce LaFleur. But it is our responsibility to do that. We have land use plans, land use maps, tireless hours and hours and hours in terms of trying to regulate, get things in order, development control, but also plan for the future. We work hand in hand as well. I forgot to add with the local government because physical planning is not responsible for approving for the family islands in terms of business licenses. That must be done by the local government or the island administrator. So what does that mean? Sum it all up. Before you set up your business, before you establish your business, you have to come to physical planning to determine, can this building or this land be used for the business idea that I have? Okay. We are also working in harmony with agencies like the Small Business Development, where we learned that prior to a client getting funds or a piece of property, they would need to have a business license. We don't just refuse you. We say, okay, then no problem. We walk you through. You can apply for an administrative license, for a boating business, an administrative license for a car business, an administrative license for a towing business. Administration means I'm just setting up my license so that I can have my license, so that I can go to these different agencies to seek approval, to seek funding, to seek getting advice. And once you get that license, I know Inland Revenue can tell you some more about the change of circumstance.
Yeah.
Once you have everything that physical planning requires, we'll then tell you go ahead and put in for your letter so that we can actually give you an approval for the actual business. And Inland Revenue will change the license based on the change of circumstance. And so that's what it is for business owners. We just come into the department. It's free. We're open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Just come and have a conversation. I know I don't even want to give you the number because I know a lot of persons say the numbers are always down. But 328-3202, 322-755-01 or 2. And I'm sure there are more. And also we have an active Facebook account. We have somebody, Glendale Josie is doing a great job in monitoring that, our Facebook account. We have other social media accounts. Just reach out. We have emails. Just reach out and talk to us. We are there and we would be available to have conversations with business owners. We want our business owners to succeed. They run the country. They are the ones that's generating income. They're the ones that's hiring the employees. We need them. I know I have 4 kids. I need them. All right. And I want them to be a business owner as well one day. And so we want to encourage you to come into us.
And I'm so glad you said that because a lot of times persons have the mindset that either us, and I gotta say, us being inland revenue doesn't want persons to get their business licenses, but what they have to understand a lot of times is also working with the regulators.
Mhm.
But like you said yourself, you want businesses to succeed and have the opportunity. And I hope persons take from this, sometimes you just have to ask the right
Mhm.
questions and
Mhm.
ask for help, or
Mhm.
even better yet, just ask for the advice on how do I actually go about doing
Yes.
this
Yes.
so that even if you come across roadblocks, you're able to do it.
Yes.
So, how then does development control and land use then impact, I would say, business operations as well as their licensing?
Okay, great question. So first of all, land use. Land use comes first. Land use would be, I have this piece of property. This is what this land is supposed to be used for. That's what the plan is to, the ones that get the big pay.
Okay.
All right. And then we have development control. Development control, you would make your applications through development control, who will determine, yes, this is in keeping with the land use. This can happen. Development control, if it cannot happen, They would let you know that it's not able to happen after it goes to the town planning committee, et cetera, et cetera. If you go ahead and you start a business
Oh boy.
prior to having approval, whether it be land use or development control, then our development control section will send in the enforcement officers. We have a few, Clinton Forbes, and we have a new one in training, and your business will be shut down. You may have to go to court, you may have to take you to the police, but all of that can be avoided if you come into the department, because we don't expect you to know. Sometimes I have to do research and I work there.
Mhm.
Is this property zoned for duplex? I don't know. I can't know everything. So we don't expect the public to know everything.
Yeah.
Just come on in and trust the persons that are trained to do that.
And let me take a moment just to encourage persons at the end of the day. Ask questions. Because I think that's one of the things sometimes persons miss. If you're not sure, ask questions. Ask questions to the different agencies, to the different regulators. On our website, we always encourage persons, especially when you're looking to start a business for the first time, to make sure that you go on, look at the different regulators you need so that you're able to go to those agencies or those departments and ask the questions that you need at the end of the day. So, coming back, that also leads us to our next question. So, then what are some of the common mistakes that business owners actually make when they try to bypass the process?
I don't think
Deep side.
I have to side because I want to be fair. Some persons are genuinely ignorant to physical planning and what they should do.
Okay.
But then you have the persons that are blatant. We know that.
Yeah, well, we know.
But some of the problems we would see would be persons would invest a very large amount of money into developing a business. I'm talking about business complete, employees ready to work, and they don't have the first approval.
Wow.
And so we have to be the bad guys, looked at as the bad guys. We don't want to be the bad guys. Well, you should not have set this business up prior to getting your land use approval. We also would have persons that would call and say, "Oh, I got approved from everybody else except town planning. Town planning is the last person to approve." Whereas town planning should have been the first person you would have consulted prior
Right.
to even going to the bank.
Right after you get your NIB certificate.
I'm telling you. And so we most of the time loss of income. Sometimes it can be approved, but the process that it will have to go through, it so they lose time
And they lose money.
and they lose money. And some persons get despondent and they just want to give up. We have to encourage them, don't give up. You just have to go through the process. But we don't want that to happen.
And the danger is also the fact of losing credibility for skipping steps as well. And I don't think persons realize that as also a blow to your business's credibility in terms of that. It's been such a pleasure
Okay.
speaking with you today. Right before we go, any final words for our listeners or any final advice for our listeners?
Okay. On Fridays, until further notice at 11, we have created a Zoom account where persons can come on to learn more about the Department of Physical Planning. Fridays at 11. You can also have your application fast tracked. If it's something you just put in a minute ago, you can come onto that Zoom and we will look at it. And if everything is in order, we will send it out for you. We have a very good segment coming up on Friday. I don't know when this is going to be aired, when the Ministry of Works is actually going to be on, to give you some updates as well in terms of what's happening with the Ministry of Works, because we're brother and sister. Building control sections, we're actually brothers and sisters. We also want to celebrate our acting director, Jeanne Wallace, first female. And that's amazing based on what's happening in our country today. So we want to celebrate her. Finally, we want to say thank you to the entire Department of Physical Planning staff, because everybody has to go above and beyond to get the job done there. We're small in numbers, but we're mighty in stature. We want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, and continue to visit our website, continue to visit our Facebook account, and just let us know how we can improve our service to you.
Dr. Newman, it's been a pleasure having you today. So, thank you again for tuning in to DIR Let's Talk Sense. I'm your host, Beaumont, Todd, the Training Communications Manager here, and I look forward to seeing you with our next exciting episode right here at DIR Let's Talk Sense. See you soon.